Welcome to my podcast. I have like 10 minutes before I have to go to work, so I wanted to make this short and sweet. Today I'm going to talk about kind of just letting go of everything and starting fresh. This is the leading principle in all energy healing systems. The idea of completely surrendering everything good and bad and replacing it with new strategies, new plans, and new information. I truly live by this system because if you're not releasing all of the old information and the framework and those branches of information, it just becomes too much for the human mind. So, meditation is a practice that completely removes all old information and creates a new space to go experience the world in a new way and to perceive information at a higher level. I actually sometimes struggle with this myself because you want to hold on to what you know. You want to hold on to what is comfortable. And it's easy to forget what that state of alignment, that state of presence, that state of being in spiritual flow feels like. And if you're in a disconnected state, for me, disconnection is just like raw anger. And I've been trying to figure that out for a very long time. Like, what actually is this? What is going on? It's just anger. It's not even anxiety. It's raw anger. And if you're like me, if you're on the stronger side of a personality and you kind of struggle with making sense of your personal power and how to blend your personal power, and this goes a lot for powerful women. If you struggle with bringing your personal power into the real world, you're not alone. Every single strong woman struggles with this. And there's no system. You kind of have to figure it out yourself. You have to act soft where you need to act soft, and you need to have practices that help you. And something I noticed that's really funny is like a lot of women will use cleaning the house subconsciously as a way to process anger. And I totally do that, and I didn't know that until now. But it's not even about having a perfectly clean space. It's about having a normal and healthy way to move through anger. And it might be exercise, but when you clean your house, you get two in one because you're cleaning the space and you also get to process anger. But I was tuned into like a mass, an online mass this morning. Like I'm kind of Christian. I'm like half Christian. We'll talk about that in another episode. Um Essentially, you don't need to go through all of that chaos to get to that state of peace. And I'm somebody who will try to strategize and figure out what's going in the mind and figure out the actual processes, but you don't actually need to do that. And the reason why you don't need to do that is because of the practice that I just shared in the beginning, which is you just simply release all of that information and you have an open horizon, and then you move forward taking one step at a time throughout the day. And that's honestly the best way to live, because if you're trying to predict and analyze everything all the time, you're not going to actually be aware of what's happening outside of you. And external awareness is key when you're moving in the material world, when you're driving, when you're managing people, when you're helping people, when you're creating some type of event, when you're doing anything in the external world, taking care of children. External awareness is necessary. But when you come back to your space in your room, you want to activate your internal awareness. And internal awareness is essentially, I realized there's a difference between external awareness and internal awareness. It kind of like channeled in through an essay when I wrote when I was in college. Um, External awareness is your sensory information that's coming in, and internal awareness is your connection to God or spirit, and also to connection to yourself. So when you're kind of exiting your house, that's like a good metaphor for your entering external awareness. And when you come back into your space, that's why I believe in calm, clean spaces. And it's not even about the space itself, it's about that symbolism that it creates in your mind to tap into internal awareness. Internal awareness is where we release old information, we heal our emotions, and we're able to find that place of stillness, that peace, where the whole body and the whole mind heals at an accelerated rate. So internal awareness is necessary for women. Like I feel like men need internal awareness, but women, our whole experience is primarily internal awareness because we don't have that luxury of being able to be more angry or being able to be more dominant, more not controlling, but able to express what we desire in the external world. And there's been a lot of shifts made in this direction. However, I just feel like women still, we need to hold ourselves back in a lot of situations where a man would say, this is not right, and stand up for their honor. And women are learning how to do that more and more. But I feel like the way to do that in a calm, intellectual, peaceful way is to do it through these practices like cleaning your space or writing down your thoughts or meditating or going to the gym or even food shopping is for me is a meditative experience. I'm like, I feel like I'm in like a different universe when I go food shopping. Like it's crazy. But these are two concepts that have been kind of coming to me, the idea of completely zeroing out everything. So this is a Buddhist principle. You don't want to be attached to good outcomes and you also don't want to be attached to bad outcomes. And in that space between the good and the bad is where you're happiest, where you have your most peace. It's not actually on the side where everything is good. And that's kind of a delusion that most people have, that, oh, if I'm on the side where everything is good, I'll be happy. No, because you'll still be unbalanced. The world is not all good. So if you're living in the space that's all good and then something that's all bad happens, you're going to be completely lost. And you want to not be on the side where it's too good. You want to be right in the middle, where you have an eye on what's over here and you have an eye on the potential of the situation, your future dreams, opportunities, etc. People who sway from good and bad too much, it creates so much instability and an unhealthy nervous system. So that's one thing. And this is more of like a metaphysical, philosophical perspective of zero everything out, enter rooms with no perspective at all, let the perspective form based on what's happening, activate your external awareness. That leads me into principle number 2, concept number 2, which is internal awareness and external. When I'm driving from work, I turn off my I don't turn off my external awareness because I would get into a car crash, but I activate my internal awareness. What did I experience today? What situations can I fix? What conflict arose? I let my energy settle down. Sometimes there's a bit of anger that I need to process, but you let yourself come back into a state of alignment. And the only way to do that is turn off the external world. External world off. So I'll do a longer podcast on this, but one of my most useful practices that I use to stay calm and balanced all the time, more or less, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Is to kind of just have system like a control panel. So like I'll imagine like a control panel, and if my mind is very noisy, I'll just put off. Or if the external world is being too chaotic, I'll just turn the external world off. And I guess it's because I'm a little lazy and I don't want to like have to filter through everything in the material world to have a state of peace. I will actually just sit here and turn things off. And I'm my happiest when everything is off because your mind is calm then. But sometimes we do need to activate our creativity. We need to activate our people skills. We need to activate certain executive levels of functioning. But most of the time, when your mind is off, you can still do managerial tasks and be completely calm. There are times when you need a little bit more of those cortisol-infused states to make decisions that are essentially life-threatening. But most of the day, you're not dealing with life-threatening situations, for most of us. I'm not talking about people, in the army or in the police forces or whatever. I'm talking about normal citizens who go to work, they do their stuff. Like, you're not actually facing that many life-threatening situations in the day. So you want to stay in that state of keeping the mind down and doing what you need to do, activating certain rooms of creativity or rooms of ideation when you want to explore something. Or if you have idle time, it's a good time to process emotions. So once again, the control panel. So you're going to turn off, you're going to turn on emotional processing, you're going to turn on creativity, and then when it's too much, when you feel like that is conflicting with your external world, there's something you have to manage there, you're going to turn those off, going to go back. So that's kind of how I operate, and it makes sense to me. I'm able to have a lot of peace and joy in my life, and it also helps me to maintain this idea of, if you really wanted to, you can turn off your entire mind. And that gives you a level of control, a level of power that where you always know that you can turn off your mind and surrender everything to the universe or God, and a perfect solution will arise. And this is like, I've tested this theory like 100 times. It always works. I turn off everything, I surrender, and then somebody comes into my life, I get a new opportunity. And you can ask any person who has any level of magic or like creativity or art, or is anywhere in a level of leadership. I'm not talking about false power, I'm talking about authentic leadership. This is how they operate, because when you make space for that strategic idea to come through, you're allowing the highest potential for your life to take route. And it's, of course, it's scary. This is like similar to surrendering to your intuition or listening to your intuition. Like, of course it's not easy. You want to be on top of what the universe is doing, what spiritual world is doing, but you're never gonna have that. Like, I'm very in tune, I'm very intuitive, and I still have no idea what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen today. I don't know what's gonna happen in 1 week. So living in that state, though, it gives you the freedom to have things come in whatever they are, and to not be going between that polarity of good and bad all the time. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but I felt like I wanted to share it. And also I wanted to release one last podcast episode before the year ended. And just as like a personal goal, a personal task, I'm really happy with how that's moving along. Like, I like the aesthetic, and I like how authentic this is, because I really am not using any equipment at all. And I'm honestly filming this like when I have like some free time, and like it's ideas that I accumulate through the whole week, and I slowly store everything up, and then I have everything organized so I can share it with the world. So you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok. Also, I have a website, and I've been selling like sustainable jewelry. It's not going well, but if you're interested in buying a gift for someone, or like ordering something that's a beautiful like curated piece of jewelry, I have everything on my website, and I'll ship it to you. And I'm getting like little postcards too. And then what else is new? I'm planning some events in the New York City area. If you're in New York, you can DM me and attend one of those events. And that's basically how I would like to close out this year in terms of the podcast, because that's really it. Like, you as an adult, or you as an individual, you should know that at any point you can leave everything and find peace, and then come back with a peaceful mind. And if you have that principle, there's nothing that you cannot do. So if you leave with anything, and if you even watch to this point, like, leave with that piece of wisdom, and hopefully it will resurface when you're in that like panic state. Like, I still get the panic state all the time, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not always this calm. Like, I just moved through some pretty heavy stuff as well. And just know that with that ideology in mind, you'll be able to move through anything. So thanks for supporting my podcast, and I'm excited to see what happens for the next year.